How's it going today? We're starting a little slight delay today. Had something come up. It's not too big a deal, less than 5 minutes. So, just like last week, we're gonna be taking a car out for a spin and just talking about some stuff. Gonna ignore that in the corner. What's in the barrel? Diesel. I don't think we're driving a diesel car today, but we can check. And for those of us joining me early, how are you doing today? Yes! A road trip with Alaric. That corner, yes, Egg. We're gonna be ignoring that corner. And just like last time, we're gonna have to find where the godforsaken gas can is in this car. Oh, we've got a frunk. A front trunk. So the engine's in the back. Here's the oil tank. Coolant. Jeez. It was real trouble finding the gas fill spot on the first car, so I really I'm not looking forward to finding out where it is on this one. Could be anywhere because the last car, yes, this is a nice garish like mid-50s pink paint job. I honestly don't see a fuel fill spot here. Top right, the top right of the car. I might have passed it. Oh, you're right, Egg. Good eye. So we've got half a liter of gas, so we're really looking. There's a container with gas around here. And yes, this game has a very funky rotational. It's like a full physics simulation thing in Unity. It's like super jank. And we're just loading that pellet gun there because there are bunnies around here that are really cursed, chaotic bunnies that are gonna try to eat us. And yeah, I think we will keep the pink paint job, Momo. Welcome to the channel. How are you doing? More alcohol. One of these. Water and gas. There's the back seat. Spare water can goes in the back. We're just gonna fill the car up as much as we can. Slam the container into the side. And probably do one pass around the place, see if there's any more gas anywhere. Oh, and an oil can. That might be useful. Oh, you're drawing things. That's nice. Might I ask what you're drawing today? Oh, these things are fun. It's a little music box. But taking them with you in the car is not such a good idea because they'll bounce around all over the place. I wonder if this is filled with gas. Nope, just more oil. Alright. Now, unless there's a... Ooh! Yes, exactly what I was looking for. Can I grab this? Yes. And grab our air freshener and take it with us. Oh, there's one of those devil bunnies there. It ran itself into the window and died. So we're just gonna start our clunker, make sure the handbrake's off, and get going. Yeah, we're gonna try to not lose all the containers in a crash this time, Egg. And the demon bunnies are kind of cute. But they're also kind of scary. That's why we have the pellet gun. Road's starting out a little curvy here. Oh, and, oh, you're another VTuber, Momo. You're making assets for yourself. That's nice. So today, have any of you DM'd your Oshi today? That's the question I'm gonna try to start out with from now on. Have any of you DM'd your Oshi today? Because I know I have. It was very nice. Oh, you don't have an Oshi, magical girl. Hopefully that changes soon. Having an Oshi can be a wonderful thing. But if you're comfortable without one, it might be best to stay that way. Oh, Gale hasn't spoken to me in days. It's so sad. I hope to hear back from him soon. I'll keep sending him love though, Melchior. Arthur, you're DMing more than one Oshi? That's illegal! You can't be doing that. Oh, and Velic's rating. Hi, Velic. How was your Armello stream? I tuned in for some of it. It seemed like you were having a good time. Welcome, Raiders. We were just getting started on our road trip here. We haven't been out of the gate but for about 2 minutes. As we careen spectacularly off the road. Goods intact. Oh, my opinion on Oreos is shite, JC. And hello, Velic. How's the end of your stream? I wasn't able to catch the very end of it. Well, it really did seem like you're having a good time with Carmine and Armello. CJC, I think that single stuffed Oreos are shite. They're just so dry. You get like 3 times as much cookie as you do cream. Where's the fun in that? Like, I'm a Hydrox chat, or at least if you're gonna serve me Oreos, they better be double stuffed. No, because milk. No, you have to judge the cookie in isolation. You can't always assume that you're going to have milk available to serve with your cookies. I like this pink light bar, but that's a pretty snazzy looking light bar. Also, there's a clicking noise coming from the car that we're going to ignore. So we're going to be stopping at buildings like this, just looking for gas to put in the car mostly. Other oddities. Just like that. There's some gas right there. Too much stuffing. No, there's no such thing as too much stuffing in an Oreo. And birthday cake Oreos are very good. Oh, and we left the gas cap open like a total tool. Gotta remember to leave that closed. Look, JC, sometimes you're just desperate and you need a cookie, right? What are you gonna do? It's not like you always are gonna have milk lying. Oh, double isn't even double anymore. They scaled it back. Oh, that's a shame. There's more gasoline in this canister here. Well, you're gonna fight me over my taste in Oreos? Come on. Come on, we can all live together here. We can have differing opinions on Oreo stuffing quantity. Don't make me get my spear. I'll get my spear if you guys want a real fight. You got that right. Eating them without milk is absolutely heretical, but sometimes it's all you've got. What are you gonna do? Go to the store just for milk? What if the store is like 3 miles away? Have you thought of that? Alright, so we're all gassed up. We got another empty canister. Let's get the rust bucket moving again. Imagine not having a fridge full of milk. Nanashi, milk spoils. It's not a good idea to have milk on hand all the time if you're not gonna use it. What are you gonna do with a gallon of milk by yourself? Are you gonna make like a dozen cakes? How many cakes are you gonna make, Nanashi? Go mad. Oh, you drive a hard bargain there. What about for all the slightly lactose intolerant folks out there though that can just drink milk but they can't drink a whole gallon? Chunky milk. Oh no, Sibby, don't you start this again. Your chunky milk almost made us crash into a rock, Sibby. How does that make you feel? Yes, there is more than one type of milk, so if we're going to start another argument over what kind of milk we should be drinking here, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that whole milk is what you should be drinking. None of that 2% or skim shit. Get some whole milk if you're drinking milk. Now, what are your thoughts on that, JC? Do you think my taste in milk is shite too? Chalky milk. Ooh. You do bring a fair point to the table, Momo. Chocolate milk is something I hadn't considered up to this point. Melchior, we're not bringing other varieties of milk into the equation. I believe we're just discussing cow milk, unless the rest of chat would like to broaden the discussion as well. Egg, that's making me feel a little funny there, that pasta. I see you're drinking 1%. Is that because you think you're fat? Because you're not. You could totally be drinking whole if you wanted to. That's nice. Why are we all becoming Chuba? Lolly, you will join us one day. You will join us in Chuba heaven. It feels so good to be a Chuba. Viewers are going extinct. Adapt or die. Oh, a Chuba is a shorthand for VTuber. So it goes in a reduction from VTuber to tuber to chuber to chuba. I like slang etymology like that. Etymology is fun. Like word histories, how words are made, how slang is formed. That's always a good time. A cheese tuba. A tuba made of cheese. That would be quite a lot of cheese, Simi. Do you think you could stomach all that cheese? I'm kind of a nerd, yes. I am a big nerd, and I am very proud of it. My nerdy brain is here to attempt to entertain all of you, and that is why I'm here. Cute nerd. Oh no, don't you go calling me cute. You're gonna make me blush. Very cute. No. Alaric is not cute. Not cute today. This is not a cute week. Cute, you're piling it on again. I refuse to be the second cute meme. Don't make you simp. Oh my. Is that where we're going here now? I do have a slightly big brain about ancient technology, Egg, though today I plan to talk more about future technology, more modern technology, things that could happen, things that might happen in the near future, as we're letting our handbrake grind our transmission. Trying to, there we go, turn the rust bucket off. Go to sleep, because night driving in this game is terrifying. Yes, nerd. If you become a Chuba, you will be called cute. Oh, and JC, you're calling me cute too. Oh no, this is spiraling out of my control. And yes, this game, I believe this game does take a lot of inspiration from Desert Bus, even if the developers of it refuse to admit it. You're driving through... Well, it has a Winter Wonderland mode also, but I am not keen on driving in winter conditions again after something that happened to me recently, which I may or may not get into at some point. Yes, there's not a lot of moonshining going on here, and we're coming up on another building. You can tell that the game's loading in things as the frame rate tanks. I should point us around the right way so I don't forget which way we're going. was a garage like this in the last road trip we did. It was absolutely full of junk. How much junk is in this one? Quite a lot of junk. Oh, story time, Momo. You want to hear the story? It's quite a short story. Let's see. I was driving back from visiting a friend, and it was beginning to get dark. I had left just before it was getting dark, and I was hoping to get through a pass before it got too dark to drive safely, right? And what I had discovered was that there was a truck that was tailgating me incessantly in near blizzard conditions with about 200 feet of visibility. Right? Not a safe thing to do. Never a safe thing to tailgate, especially not in those conditions on a highway. So I attempted to change lanes, right? So that the tailgater could drive past me, as he had clearly intended to be doing. And while I was attempting to change lanes, some snow appeared on the road that I hadn't seen, because it was, again, twilight conditions. And my tire decided to catch the snow and pull me off the road, and while I was being pulled off the road, the truck that was tailgating me turned what I could have avoided into me getting pulled off the road into a snowbank in a mountain pass very close to a cliff. So that was a very scary experience that I had recently with cars, and why I will not be driving in the Winter Wonderland mode until summer rolls around. Yeah, Jesus is the correct response to that somewhat near-death experience. It was not a fun time, but thankfully a tow got there very quickly. I wasn't very far off the road, so the tow was able to just yoink my car back up onto the road, and I could get going again. No harm, no foul, as they say. Yes, there is a hand over there. We will be ignoring it. I have no use for somebody's severed hand, unfortunately. We're just looking for containers that are not like this. The split between gas and oil will make the engine make very scary noises. Is this somebody's Minecraft skin? It certainly is. Should we take this and pin it up in our car, chat? I'm thinking we might put it on the tail. Oh, if something costs an arm and a leg, I'm sure we can give up our left arm. We don't seem to be using our left arm at all. So this can go right by the license plate, you think? That is definitely somebody's Minecraft skin. So as for future technologies today, have any of you heard of a device called a von Neumann probe? That's Von, V-O-N, Neumann, N-E-U-M-A-N-N, a von Neumann probe. Well, if you haven't heard of a von Neumann probe, it's a device which is capable of replicating itself and flying through space. So the extreme high concept of it is that you would build a probe, something capable of operation without human control. Right? And it would go around munching asteroids, other planets, sentient life even, entirely on its own, and building more of itself. Yeah, the arms and the legs, this is jank Unity stuff. Could we use a green door? I don't think any of our doors are shaped like this. But a von Neumann probe, basically, its sole purpose in life is to make more of itself. Essentially, at all costs. It's a science fiction concept for exploring the universe, essentially. How you would do it realistically, given that living things have fixed lifespans. You just make the robots do it and send the data back. And where the von Neumann probes get interesting is in the concept of their data becoming, well, they're not their data, they're programming instructions for what they're supposed to be doing as they explore the universe. They're computerized, and in the vacuum of space with all its radiation, you're bound to get corruption over an infinite scale of time. So your instructions get corrupted. What do the probes start doing? Do they become sentient? Do they start warring with themselves? What do they do? And that's where the meat is in the science fiction aspect of it. What if they just eat everything? Yes, that's also something to consider in the science fiction. Is that they're basically intended to eat everything. And that, given enough time, they will eat everything. Oh, it's a little like the Borg from Star Trek. But instead of assimilating life, they just don't care. They just see your carbon-based life form as carbon. And if they need carbon, they will eat you. And yes, Egg, it does kind of relate to Grey Goo. Which is another topic that I was going to bring up, and is a good segue. Grey Goo is like a precursor to von Neumann probes, where a von Neumann probe might be the size of our moon, and take hundreds of years to travel about. A Grey Goo event, on the other hand, is where you would have basically what are von Neumann probes, operating in the same way, on a localized scale. And in fact, some science fiction involving von Neumann probes has the von Neumann probes employ Grey Goo to gather resources for them. Oh, you wouldn't be eaten by a dumb robot. They can be quite smart. And I believe I was going into data corruption. So their programming instructions might get corrupted over the span of several thousand years, perhaps, to the point where they might become sentient, or they might decide that they can form different nations, and they would be corrupted at a different rate, but since they all pass down their instructions, it almost becomes a simulation of life, von Neumann probes, because they will be passing down their corrupted instructions to other von Neumann probes that they make, and so on, to the point where, at some point in the far future, you will have millions and millions of corrupted probes that are not doing what you intended them to do. The beta from Muv-Luv. I have not played Muv-Luv yet, Mario. Have we lost a wheel? I hear screeching tires. No, the wheels are fine. Oh, aliens, okay. That makes sense. I'm not doing so well with chat today. You're so much faster than usual. I would like to apologize for that. I'm normally much better about reading out all of your messages and responding. Oh, Mundo, you thought I said it would go around munching ass? That would have been quite funny if I had said that. But yes, transitioning into Grey Goo. Grey Goo is like von Neumann probes, but on a nanoscale, on a much smaller scale. Self-replicating robots the size of your thumb or smaller. They would just consume matter, turn it into base matter that they could work with to build more of it themselves. And I believe there is a video game called Grey Goo, where you do just that, where you're basically the driving force behind a swarm of angry, hungry nanobots that want to make more of themselves. We're going to ignore the happenings in that outhouse as well. I don't think there's any gasoline here. Oh, there's another music box. Amazing that that light would still turn on. No, we're not talking about something lewd, Lolly. We're talking about Grey Goo. And don't take the word goo the wrong way. Wonder if there's anything up on this roof. I'm absolutely failing to climb this gas pump. Ah, yes, there is things on this roof. Gas can? Gas can. Excellent. Now, where were we? Ah, yes. Grey Goo is like a calamity event, basically. If you were ever to get into nanotechnology, why would I be drinking gasoline? If you were ever to get into nanotechnology and build a nanobot that could rebuild itself, given a certain amount of carbon, well, you'd just spell the end for the human race if you didn't give it the proper instructions to avoid eating everything that it sees as carbon. Oh, Egg, you've read a book about Grey Goo. And zombies. Zombified Grey Goo. So that would be kind of like those little viruses that infect, well, more like parasites that infect certain insects and control their behavior. Except with nanomachines and humans. That's interesting. What kind of precautions could you even take against zombies that were filled with a goo that would also transform you into a zombie? Like if you blow one of their heads off with a shotgun and got goo all over the room, wouldn't that goo still be wouldn't the nanobot goo still be alive and want to put itself inside of you as well? And this also kind of gets into robotics. Fire! Ah, yes, if they're carbon-based, you can burn them. That's a good point. Now, this also does kind of get into robotics. And one of the key figures in science fiction robotics is Isaac Asimov. I would assume that almost all of you have heard of Isaac Asimov, or if not him, you would have probably heard of his 3 laws of robotics, which essentially boil down to obey humans, do your best to not harm humans. And the third one usually escapes me from memory. I'm sure one of you lovely people in the chat could search them up and prove me a fool for not being able to remember Isaac Asimov's 3 laws of robotics. Ah, protect its own existence such as long as it does not conflict with the first or second law. Thank you, Egg. What is this giant rock we're heading towards? Oh, what the... Is this a boat? This better not be a boat. Well, it definitely looks like a boat. Right in the road, too. How rude of them to park it like this. Wonder what's inside the boat. Kinda looks like an oil tanker, so it's probably just oil. Kind of looking that way. Alcohol. There's a tanker filled with alcohol. Oh, land ships are an interesting concept, nerd. I always thought that it would be interesting to have basically a wooden ship from the Age of Sail sailing across Central Asia. I'm sure there's a piece of literature out there that's explored that topic. Maybe one of these is full of gas and we'll get very lucky. Well, it seems like it's just alcohol in that one diesel can. Oh, Mundo, you've played Space Station 13. I've also played Space Station 13, although I've never played much as a Silicon in that game. Oh yes, Egg, you might be wrong with the less moonshining, but at least we're not doing the moonshining. I hear one of those demon bunnies. So it's probably in our best interest to get right back in the car and go to sleep. Now, where were we with robotics? Ah, yes, robotics are an interesting concept because you're trying to mimic humanity to a degree where you can perform all of the rote basic tasks of humanity, but as you approach human-like thinking, robotics becomes a very dangerous subject, and that's where Isaac Asimov's laws come in. Because you can have a sentient robot obeying those laws that would not be a threat to humanity unless those laws were broken or ineffectual. And yes, Space Station 13 is a very fun game. I've spent quite a lot of time playing it several years ago. I haven't touched it a lot since then. Probably my favorite story I could tell from Space Station 13. I'm sure those of you that have played it also would have stories to tell, but my favorite story to tell from Space Station 13 is the time I was playing as an engineer and had to basically seal myself away in a locker in a little cubby in the maintenance tunnels of the station because I was playing as a traitor and I had stolen the captain's laser pistol as part of an objective. And I was basically playing the hide and wait game for the round to be over at that point. I was camped out right... Since I was an engineer, I could basically take apart the station as much as I wanted. So I had done just that and made a cubby right near the right near an escape pod, so that I could call the round a victory. And it worked. Nobody found me. The round eventually ended, and I just unsealed myself from my little tomb. Got in the escape pod, and that was over. Of course, I was chatting on the radio the whole time, mocking people for being unable to find me. It was pretty funny. Yes, it is a good personal story game, because the game itself is little more than an atmospheric simulation with some UI elements. It's giving a dozen or 2 dozen people little player characters to mess around with together in a sandbox environment with just a tiny sprinkling of backstory about why you're there and what you're doing. It's really a wonderful short-form roleplay scenario. Anyways, back to robotics. The closer you get to human-like thinking, the more dangerous it gets. Right? So that's what Isaac Asimov's 3 laws of robotics are for. They're supposed to make the robots subservient to humanity in such a way that they still have free will without being able to harm humans. In fact, in one of Asimov's stories, Honk.wav is a beautiful song. Perhaps I can find it and play it at the end of the stream. In one of Isaac Asimov's stories, a human visits a planet that had been populated entirely by robots, upkeeping an empty city and gardening for potentially, I believe it was potentially thousands of years. They had just been left there and forgotten. Well, I know the one you're talking about, Egg. It's the one with all the honks. It's kind of a shame that a lot of servers are pulling some of that music now. Not farming, gardening. They were just making the place pretty and keeping it clean. And they were doing this because they had not wanted to adopt free will, but Asimov dropped some hints in the stories that the laws of robotics had gotten corrupted in their heads over spending so long alone without humanity. Oh, hello, Spacer. We're talking about robotics. We just discussed von Neumann probes and Grey Goo. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing today? And yes, we are having a nice road trip so far. No major collisions. So, after spending so long alone, those robots in Asimov's story had kind of forgotten about the laws of robotics. And although they adhered to them with the one or I believe it was one human, but it might have been two, with the human that was in their presence, they adhered to the laws of robotics. But it was clear because of hints that Asimov dropped in the work that a bus. I don't want to stop for a bus. It was clear because of hints Asimov dropped in the work that the robots had obtained free will and were able to ignore the laws of robotics entirely and were just adhering to them out of respect. And yes, it is that concept for a story is a little bit sad. Oh, I'm glad you're doing okay, Spacer. Yeah, can you imagine tending a garden for 1,000 years and nobody to look at it? Why would you be putting in all of that effort, but to cultivate yourself? And that kind of gets into mindsets for how people think. Some people only do things because they think they'll be appreciated by other people. Please don't call you out live. Oh, Momo, you think you do things solely for the appreciation shown by others? That's not necessarily a bad thing. Any motivation is good motivation. Ah, yes, being forgotten. I forget where the quote originates, and this is probably not the exact quote, but you're not dead. You're not truly dead until someone's spoken your name for the last time. Or, in another variant, you're not gone until you're forgotten. Like Blackbeard. People will remember Blackbeard the pirate for all eternity, essentially. Like, that's just a story that will stick around in the ether forever. And yes, most humans do enjoy praise in one form or another. You're right about that, Spacer. Ah, yes, it can also be expressed as you die 2 deaths, Mundo. Good point. And Egg brings up an excellent point as well. Is that as you fade from reality, you become legend. You become, in the literal sense of the word, you become legend in that you are written about. You've left a record, or somebody else has left a record of you. And when you're gone physically from reality, that record is all that everybody else will have of you. And what that record is determines how people will see you, essentially. Because it's not like you're there to talk to them at all. This looks like some rusted out trailers. an engine that wouldn't fit in the back of our car. What is this? Oh, it's just a blinker. Open the trunk for funnies. Kind of looks like a station wagon, that. Gasoline? Oil. Diesel bucket. Can't climb up the downspout. Oh, Spacer. You have a simple approach to the issue. When your consciousness ceases to exist, it doesn't matter when your name goes away, and you're in no condition to care. That's a fair point. Although I would say that from my perspective, that's a little apathetic. Especially since you literally use the phrase, don't care. There has to be a way to get to the second floor here, or I'm insane. Are there stairs in here somewhere? Am I blind? Yeah, they might have forgotten the stairs, but it looks like they left a couple windows open, so... maybe I can not do that. Maybe I can bring the car around, climb up on the car. Oh, JC, do you have any comments on consciousness? I don't consider myself a good philosopher, but if you'd like to have a discussion on consciousness, we could try. Climbing into this room here. There's a hairbrush on a bed and a rusty bucket. And no door. But there is something on the roof, and it's oil, not gas. Unfortunate. Well, there's a gas can on this roof, too. Now, consciousness is a little bit of a weird thing. And this can segue into another topic, but one that I didn't prepare. It's just kind of striking me in the moment. Have any of you ever thought about mind uploading? The concept of having your personality digitized. Because I have. I quite like the concept of mind uploading. You know, becoming a bunch of bits in a computer. And what mind uploading opens the gate to is being uploaded into a simulation of a brain, a hardware simulation of a brain, so that you could live as a robot forever. Might have to do some object stacking here to get on this roof. Now, is this gasoline? Yes! What else can we get to up here? On Neuralink, that's not quite mind uploading related. Ooh, more pink paint. Neuralink is it's supposed to be a brain-computer interface that Elon Musk is working on. I'm looking forward to developments related, but I haven't heard much about it. And Spacer, you think that a mind is connections, not the actual matter. I would agree with you if you mean that the personality makes the person, is the phrase I would use. So if it's like this is a bit of a trope, but it's like the Star Trek teleporter dilemma, right? How do you know the people that are coming out of the teleporter are the same people that went in? They look the same, they act the same, they have all of the same memories, they have the same reactions to events that they would otherwise. What's that on the center of the roof? Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that egg. I didn't notice anything really special on the center of the roof, but on the roof of the garage there was a wing mirror for a motorcycle. And yes, there are ethical problems with mind uploading and copying and such. And that when you think about it, you could use it to make an array of clones essentially that are all the same, and what governments probably would have an interest in it for is making an army of super soldiers that they don't have to care about public opinion for sending out anywhere. Although that might be a bit too political to use as a discussion topic. Egg, I've heard that metaphor before, but it's lost on me. Ship of Theseus. What do you mean by that? Oh, Mundo, you were about to bring up the same point with how do you know it's the same person. My personal view on the matter is that if they act, look, and feel like the same person, they are the same person. However, this is the perspective of an onlooker, not somebody that goes through the process. There's a spiritual question there, too. Is that when you teleport, or when your mind is uploaded, and your brain is wiped, is that still you? Do you have a second perception because of that? I guess you could think of it like turning off a computer. If you had your mind uploaded to a computer and your brain wiped and replaced with what was uploaded, would you, the little process registering everything going through your eyes at the moment, still be there? Or would it be like restarting a computer and getting a new session of the same thing? Oh, Egg, you'd want to slowly replace your brain instead of instantly transitioning to a fully robotic function. That's an interesting take. I am quite conflicted on slow augmentation like that. I would rather dive headfirst into the brain in a jar concept than slowly transition to being an augmented reality individual with part of my brain being replaced by a computer. Brain in a jar is also an interesting concept, because when you think about it, your brain is part of your nervous system. So you could theoretically take your nervous system out and put it with you in the jar, and still have the ability to sense with feeling the outside world. Now, I forget which story did this, but I remember reading a book some time ago where there was a ship that was powered by a brain in a jar. Essentially, all of the functions of a ship were controlled by a single brain in a jar. That was the only crew, was the brain. Oh, you know the book, eh? If you do, please do tell. The twist, however, was that the nervous system of said brain was also contained with the brain, and the nervous system was being stimulated with pain remotely. Like a person being whipped so that the free consciousness inside the brain and nervous system would obey or else feel the direct nervous pain. And if you've ever had nerve damage, or know somebody that has had nerve damage, you would probably be able to relate with how painful that kind of pain would be. Oh, there wasn't a human pilot in this one, Egg. I'm thinking of this was a smaller part of a larger story, I believe. And yes, wiping the brain would kill the consciousness in your body the same way a lobotomy would. However, the question is if it could be replaced with the copy of your consciousness that was saved to a hard drive. And the process is that you, the psychological representation of you right now, would be able to recognize as yourself. Would you be able to recognize that there was time between when your brain was wiped and when your copy was uploaded? And think of yourself as the same person for that. That's the real question. We could do with putting some more oil in the oil tank, I think. This is the empty one, right? No, that's the water. One of these is oil, then. It's the empty one. Other side of the car, and I'm being reminded that I have a bottle filled with gasoline. And yes, we are litter bugs, but I don't think there's anybody around to complain about the litter. You think practically it would be like you were just awake for a bit? Ah, I see. That we're not awake for a bit. Yes, that does make sense. Oh, awareness is a different thing entirely. Oh, how nice. The gas is just right out front this time. And yes, being trapped in a computer without any awareness, just stored as data, would be quite terrifying, I think. There's a box on the bottom of that well that we're not going to investigate. And nothing on the roof this time. Oh, Momo, you think nobody's around to punish me and that I'll do something immoral because of that? Well, if you were a brain controlling a spaceship armed to the teeth, what would you do? How would you control something that has absolute control over what is essentially a weapon that would be able to, say, destroy the International Space Station with very, very high ease? How do you control that? Well, I mean, you could have a remote shutoff so that the brain couldn't interface with the ship anymore, but how do you get it what you want? How do you get it to do what you want it to do? It's not like you can stimulate it because you've taken away its body. It's got no life left to live, assuming that you can't put it in a new body. Oh, littering! Oh, no! You meant littering. Oh, that's funny. I thought you were referencing the brain and nervous system in a jar controlling a ship. On Bunzel, you'd shoot the moon repeatedly and draw a dick. That does sound quite like you, Bunzel. I like that. I like that about you. I can only assume that the car feels like it's going slower because we're going uphill. The ship who sang. That does not ring a bell, Egg. I'm sorry. Although I will bookmark that and look into it. And yes, morality is very context-driven. I'm trying to think of a good example for context-driven morality here. I don't have one at hand. You know, the engine might be running rough because we put too much oil in it. That would make sense, wouldn't it? I don't know how cars work very well. I'm not a mechanic. And no, Ray, we're not there yet. Though you may ask again as much as you like. Warship brain pilots would have an entirely different culture than somebody bound to a flesh body. Ah, yes. However, I will dog you with another question, Spacer. What if this was an isolated example? The first of its kind instead of a culture? There is however long it takes for us to run out of things to talk about, nerd. And it will probably take us about another half hour at least. Unless some catastrophe happens, like the last road trip we went on, where we got stuck in the door of the car and were sent into the void. And now that my brain's been fried thinking of high concept science fiction for a bit, I have a story to tell you about the first time I went to a zoo. I believe I was about 4 years old. I could have been 3. I got put in the car with my sibling. I have a fraternal twin. And we were taken to the closest zoo to where we were visiting at the time. And I went primarily to see penguins, because I think penguins are adorable animals. And what I remember of the trip, my sibling almost jumped into the... I believe it was the elephant enclosure, and was stopped by a zookeeper. And what the rest of the trip I remember was looking at the penguins. I spent the entire time just sitting and staring at the penguins. The mind of a small child is often quite simple like that. And there's some beauty in it. Sliding down the hill trying to avoid collision with a bus. Total success! But yes, I stared at penguins for hours, and eventually the day drew to a close. And with no planning whatsoever, I remember my sibling and I dogging our parents to buy us cotton candy, and saying that we wouldn't leave the zoo without getting cotton candy for the trip home. And we did wind up nagging them into getting a small bucket of cotton candy. Brains in jars and big guns reminding you of Wolfenstein. Ah, yes. The occult science direction that the Wolfenstein series of games has taken in recent years is certainly... I hate overusing this word, but it's interesting. It really is. Because I can't easily think of another series where the primary driving force behind a villain or a main power is science that relies on things that seem like magic. It's usually just magic as science as a concept. Oh, and Magical Girl, you want to stare at animals all day. What kind of animals do you want to stare at all day other than penguins? If I had my pick of any animal in the animal kingdom today, it would either be penguins or really elephants. Because elephants, given a playground, are very interesting creatures to watch. They're almost as smart as humans, if not for their inability to speak. Elephants have been known to play the piano and draw recognizable images. So really, the only thing separating them from us in intelligence is speech. We're going quite fast down this hill here. Oh, bunnies! Bunnies would be interesting to watch if you had a few of them. I know that there's been in a certain circle of people that I like hanging around with, there's been I wouldn't call it a fad, but there's been a little mini trend recently of watching chickens and ducks. Oh, I'm part of that trend, Magical Girl. I'm proud to be a slight part of that trend. Oh, it's not a cabal, Spacer. You can come join the Chicken Watchers, too. Anybody can. Oh, Mundo, you tossed some subs at people in the Chicken channel. That's very nice of you. Ah, yes, we have Bunzel here. Bunzel is an excellent rabbit to watch if you like watching rabbits. Oh, there are channels like the Chicken channel, but for bunnies, Momo. If there are still some around, that would be very nice. I wonder if there's anything on the roof of this building, or if we can even get up on the roof. Kinda looks like there should be something on the roof, but I'm not going to exercise too much energy in trying to get up there. What am I doing trying to start the car? It's getting dark. I guess bunnies on camera. There is a niche there available, I guess. For a YouTube channel like the Chicken... A YouTube channel. A Twitch channel like the Chicken channel. But for bunnies. That'd be very cute to watch. And watching aquariums. Yes, aquariums can be interesting to look at, too. Speaking of aquariums, I've been to a couple very large aquariums. I've been to the Monterey Bay Aquarium in Monterey, California, and I've been to the Tampa Bay Aquarium in Tampa, Florida. Both of them are very nice, and the Tampa Bay Aquarium, when I was there, had an interesting Madagascar exhibit, where they had brought in non-aquatic terrestrial creatures for the humid environment inside the aquarium. So I've been able to see a toucan, firsthand, and some ring-tailed lemurs. That was very nice. Are there any exotic animals like that you've seen in person, chat? Yes, when they have the penguins there at Monterey, it's very nice. Although when I went, they were doing they were mostly focusing on dolphins. Oh, Bunsley, you're curious about how much money the Chicken channel makes. Well, I would imagine it's in based on the number of emotes that channel has, you could extrapolate that it's in the thousands of dollars a month. They're very clearly partnered with Twitch and have enough emotes that their sub points are probably very high. I'm not very familiar with the back end of Twitch or how they dole those out, but they do have a lot of emotes, and that pretty much translates to a lot of subscribers. There was a wandering peacock in your state, Momo. Huh. That's an odd thing to have. Well, if we're talking about animals wandering through our neighborhoods, I quite frequently get deer, rabbits, and there are turkeys nesting in somebody's backyard in the neighborhood that like to wander around and shit on people's porches. Yes, wild turkeys just wandering around. It's as strange to me now as it was the first time I saw it. Mountain lions are not present in my ecosystem, Spacer. At least not where I live. They are around the geographic area, but they do not approach people nearly as readily as deer do, nor nearly as readily as turkeys. They're very cautious and lonely creatures. And I believe the description cautious and lonely creature could be applied to many, many people, too. Because we narrowly missed turning one of those cursed rabbits into roadkill. Oh, Mundo, your city zoo stopped showing off exotic animals. Aw, that's terrible. Although, it does make sense to take them away to an environment that's more friendly for them. I know that the local zoo here likes bringing in a red panda, but they send it away for the winter because it's much too cold. Oh, Momo, you almost ran over another turkey. Oh no, that's terrible. I'm glad you say almost, though. I'm glad that the turkey's okay, and I assume that you're also alright. Oh, and Bunzel's got a story for us. When I was a kid, a local small zoo had left the snow monkey cage unlocked, and the whole group of them got into our garage and escaped into the woods. Oh my. The brakes on this car are quite shit. I'm just going to throw that out there. They escaped into the woods, and now that region of Ontario has Chinese snow monkeys. Oh no. I hope they're not invasive. Like, I hope they're, like, they're just hanging around doing their thing instead of overtaking the ecosystem as some plants and insects do. Turkeys have enough brain power to get spooked, run away, and be attracted to mating displays. Not much else. Yes, they are quite dumb creatures. However, they also have a... I hesitate to call them cute, but it brings a certain small joy to my heart whenever I see them just hanging about the neighborhood. Oh, a trailer. I wonder if we have a trailer hitch. Maybe you could put a trailer on our car. Oh, snow monkeys competing with raccoons. Oh my, that'd be terrifying. A raccoon fighting a snow monkey. Raccoons are vicious. And yes, magical girl. This is sorry for a bit late of a response, but red pandas are very cute. They're adorable. They have the loveliest eyes. Uh-oh. This is we're setting ourselves up for failure here, trying to pull this downhill to hitch it up instead of using this nice flat spot in front of the building. Turkeys are a good bird. Turkeys are a good bird, Arthur. And Nerd, you're a fan of doves? Might I ask what caused you to be such a fan of doves? Duck Chads? Ah, yes, we were just talking about the Chicken and Duck channel, JC. So we do have a trailer hitch. And there we go. Got a shit trailer for a shit car. I can only imagine that this will negatively impact the handling of our already poorly handling car. Doves are a pretty bird. I quite like pigeons sometimes. Although, whenever I do have to interact with pigeons, they seem more like rats than birds. Oh. Hit a rock. Let's inspect the damage. There appears to be no damage. Well, alright then. I would imagine that the developers have put in some kind of magic glue to the trailer that makes it hold things, otherwise we're probably going to have to find a bed or something heavy to put on top of the trailer so that things under it will stay inside it. Oh yes, pigeons are almost exactly like flying rats, yes. I've heard them described as such before, and I'm borrowing that description because I feel it fits. Make sure to load cargo ahead of the trailer axle or you will experience aggressive fishtailing. Thank you for the tip, Spacer. I have never used a trailer in person before, so that is quite helpful. And we're going downhill so much that our very low trailer is visible in the rearview mirror. Now we were talking about aquariums. How much do you all know about dolphins in the chat there? Because I quite like dolphins. I'm prepared to speak a bit about dolphins. I just want to hear what you all think first. Those city pigeons are like rats, but they're also seabirds known as rock doves. Oh, I had no idea that they were somewhat related to doves, if only by name. They don't seem graceful at all. Yes, dolphins kind of segue in from elephants in that they have sensei. Oh, I'm nobody's sensei. Although I thank you for the flattery, Momo. Now, dolphins kind of segue in from elephants in the vein of animal intelligence. Because dolphins are quite smart animals, and there are ongoing projects, I believe in the Bahamas, or at least off the coast of Florida, to communicate with and develop an interspecial relationship with dolphins. Oh, we're not going to talk about the yab facts of dolphins, JC, but I know exactly what you are talking about. Yeah, NASA's doing dolphin speech research, and there are a couple other private research programs going on in the same vein, Spacer. Anyways, animal intelligence. Dolphins are very smart. They can communicate with humans, and they have their own variety of language that is not really a language so much as it is a large vocabulary of specific calls, kind of like whale song, but not as specific. And they're also known to get high voluntarily by eating things that they really shouldn't be eating. I believe a certain variety of sea anemone will get a dolphin very high. And they are capable of sharing this information with dolphins that do not know the trick to getting high off of sea anemones. Yes, they have unique voices, JC. Good point. So there is a potential near future where the first... Pulling into the gas station here, sorry. Where the first non-human creature we are able to... Oh no. It seems our journey is coming to an end. This is exactly what happened with the last road trip. We open the door of the car, we attempt to get out of the car, and we are met with a grim fate as the car pulls us into the void, not wanting us to drive anymore. So we've driven about another 75 kilometers, so about another 50 miles. Although I still have some more to talk about. My throat is getting very gravelly, burny, so I'm tempted to stop here. We can talk on the title screen for a bit longer, at least finish up the dolphin conversation, though. Yes, this is a physics glitch death. This game is called The Long Drive and is in very beta state at the moment. It's an excellent road tripping game. It's very, very good for Zatsudan-like content, where there's just something going on in the background, a road trip going on in the background while we talk about things, as you are all essentially my passengers in the car. Now, where was I going with dolphins? Yes, there is a very, very high possibility that in the near future, dolphins become the first non-human species to be able to fully communicate with humans. And yes, they are capable of group cooperation. There are some people that believe that dolphins would have already figured out how to get off the planet reliably were they not trapped underwater by their biology. Ah, yes, Egg. I like that reference. That's a nice reference you have there to Hitchhiker's Guide. Speaking of air-breathing fish, the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the first book in the series, also has the appearance of a whale, improbably coming into existence over a planet and crashing into it. It's a quite funnily written book. It has good comedy in it. I would suggest you all read it if you haven't already. But yes, dolphins. Segueing in from dolphins. Dolphins are why I learned to swim. I wanted to swim with dolphins. I've never had the opportunity to swim with dolphins, and any venture that promises you swimming with dolphins will probably be very expensive, needlessly expensive. However, as a child, I had watched a documentary on dolphins, and I had immediately wanted to swim in the water with them. I forget exactly why, it just seemed appealing to me. Don't let my dreams be dreams, Egg. Thank you for the encouragement. Yes, and I am perfectly content to leave swimming with dolphins as a dream for now, because though I am a competent swimmer, I do not trust boats. I have a fear of heights, and I trust planes, but I do not trust boats. I've gone over this before, but in a shipwreck, out on the open water, you are done for. You are goner. You're a total goner. You're gone. You're dead. You're sinking. You're drowned. If not for somebody else pushing your head under the water to try to keep themselves afloat because they'd never learned to swim, you will be in the immediate vicinity of a wreckage that is likely filled with air bubbling to the surface and water bubbling to the surface. You can try this at home in a boiling pan with something that you don't care to lose. In boiling water, bubbles are created, right? So simple physics. Things boil, they turn into gas. Gas and liquid creates bubbles. Things will sink. Things will sink in boiling water, not because the water is hot, but because bubbles are being created and destroying the buoyancy the buoyancy properties of the liquid. So in a shipwreck, bubbles come out of the shipwreck as it sinks. And in a lot of shipwrecks, they're caused by hitting something, so you will probably be spinning slowly too because of a whirlpool caused by the collision, making the ship that is sinking spin around slightly in the water. So you'll be in a whirlpool filled with bubbles. What does this do? This disorients you and drags you down, and it's basically like being trapped under an avalanche, except you're surrounded by liquid instead of solid water. Hydrate, redeem. Thank you, JC. Slurp down a couple gulps of water there. Momo, you've wanted to swim with sea turtles and pet them. I don't think touching the shells of turtles is healthy for the turtle. However, touching the fleshy portions of the turtle is perfectly fine, I believe. And sea turtles are interesting creatures because they go up to land to lay their eggs. Oh, and Spacer, you can swim with small sharks in many places. Ah. That sounds quite terrifying. Little sharp-toothed creatures swimming with you. What if they thought of you as food? What would you do if they were trying to bite your leg? Ah, you'll pat the turtle's heads then. Good plan, good plan. All right. I think I've wrapped up what we were talking about, unless there are any loose ends chat would like to remind me about for us to continue talking. In the meantime, I know this was somewhat short, but my throat is beginning to kill me here. In the meantime, redeem, go on tangent. Oh, Roman. I might could. I am almost out of tangents to go on today. Acrius, I don't think I've watched Acrius yet. Do you have a link to his channel? Because yes, we are looking for a raid target at the moment. What's a short tangent I could go on while we get a channel to raid? I know this is a topic that gets brought up by some other VTubers sometimes, or by some other VTubers chats. So forgive my lack of originality. But have any of you thank you for the link, Arthur. Have any of JC? We're not bringing up Oreos again. This is decided. You may DM me about it later if you like. I am happy to speak with you in private about our differences in opinion on Oreo cookies. Oh, the new Kamen Rider Chuba. Ah, I've seen some of his pre-debut material. So forgive my lack of originality, but a short tangent. Have any of you in chat been shooting before? Like pew pew firing a rifle kind of shooting? I expect the answer will be no from a lot of you, but I've gone shooting before many times. And the first time I went shooting was very kind. They had been very kind to me and given me a bolt action 22 rifle. Oh, Big Flappy, you do target shooting. Ah, very nice. Oh, and on a family friend's farm egg. Yes, that's quite common in the United States sometimes. Yes, so the first time I went shooting, I'll keep this short so we can get the raid underway soon. But was with a bolt action 22 Luger 22 long rifle rimfire cartridge, bolt action rifle. No magazine, so you have to cycle the bolt to put a new cartridge in the chamber. And those things are very, very nice. They fire like a laser gun almost. They're very accurate at short to medium range. And I've been told, though I have never done this myself, that you can use them for small game hunting quite safely, like rabbits and squirrels, that kind of small game. Ah, licensing, yes. I'm sorry you have to deal with so much licensing to have a safe and good time, Big Flappy. So that tangent's over. I just wanted to say that my first time shooting was simple and nice, and I hit a lot of cans that day. We had gone to a can range instead of a target range. No, 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 we're not shooting at any bunnies here, except for in this game here, the chaotic ones that want to bite our head off. Okay, so we'll be rating Acrius, if he is still live after that tangent. And he's playing Half-Life. So in the closing minutes of the stream, or rather the closing seconds now, I would like to thank you all for coming here today. We've been here for about an hour and a half, a little shorter than planned, but I had a very nice time chatting with you all and going on a road trip today. So wherever you are in the world, day or night, I hope you're having a good time. Thank you for coming, and we'll see you next time. Have a good day, everybody.